Oh, could you do two?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I thought they were, might have been included in.
Tom, I think had his notes, and so I just, most of the the points that he made were covered in mine. I don't know if I think he thought the same things.
Yeah, I don't know that that I got everything that was on his list. I only got it this morning, so.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Tom. Hi, Tom. I'm Randy. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Well, we haven't traditionally met. Yeah. Pleasure, Roderick.
How you doing, Tom?
So that's version 4 with not quite all of the comments that he had, but we can go through them because there were some of them that weren't clear, but.
It's looking darn good.
What's that?
That's looking darn good.
Yeah. It is
What?
good.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Particularly busy this time of year with your business, or is it mostly?
Definitely, lots of, everybody's getting their tax returns, so we're going in and doing, tax planning for the year, and I don't do taxes. They all look at what happened last year, and said, wait a second, what do I do so I don't have to pay as much, so. Yeah,
It's a good time to make that decision
It
instead
is.
of next,
well.
March.
December.
yeah,
Yeah,
or March,
December 31st, who can I write a check to?
yeah.
That's what we're saying, oh, wait, I need to get a retirement plan in place, and like some of them, the deadline to do it is October 1. So it's too late. We're way too long.
What is the deadline for business
Well, it depends on,
taxes to be
business
submitted?
taxes, well, it depends on how you file, but quarterly, September, it's either September or October 15th for business.
Okay,
It's a month ahead of the think it's September.
Okay,
Yeah, the business part, because you have to have the business part done so that you're ready for your personal. That extension.
I do a 990 for a small nonprofit.
Okay,
And I never know exactly when that thing's due.
yeah, I think it's September.
Okay, good.
It's not, it's not August.
Okay,
And you've got to print it out for you. so.
yeah, whatever's most efficient. And are you thinking of keyboarding?
I can,
And-
I can look off right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
do you have the projector?
No, it might be in Ron's office. I haven't seen it since it went away. And Rachel is on right now. I don't know how long she can be on. It seemed like when I was talking to her this morning, it was
oh, okay,
not gonna be a known thing, so maybe,
all right.
public comment and ask questions then.
I think the only other person I heard might be dialing in was Carl Warble,
Oh, okay.
but
But he's not on this committee, is he?
no, but he had
Okay.
an interest.
Right, right.
He liked the dialogue.
Yeah, good luck with seeing that today, huh?
Well, I love the fact that somebody's gonna keyboard all these comments.
If you want, I can.
Or
That would be great.
you wouldn't want to count on my fingers doing that.
Yeah, because I do the minutes, but that doesn't include all your detail on your changes. For your.
We're probably getting close to. Yeah, that's.
And just before we get started, what I see on the last subcommittee minutes where you had discussed that the demographic census is important, planning to engage via workshops. And then for your this is the one I wanted, the survey mechanisms. I don't know if you guys have these draft minutes, but your survey mechanisms as discussed the last time was advertise the newsletter. Well, it kind of did. It's 3 different spots actually in the newsletter. Plan for the survey to be back in. I had mid-June in the minutes is what was said. Networks Northwest to compile the data. And I think you also said something about them checking the questions. This is just what I have.
Oh, okay.
And that was about $2,000, possibly share basic results in July newsletter with the link to the results. And then do outreach workshops July and August.
Which, the minutes of which meeting? Because that was like,
March something.
March, yeah, a couple of meetings ago, but
Yeah.
we were gonna discuss it further, I believe.
Right, and that was the thing. I saw that that's on the agenda, the survey mechanism. So I thought that the mid-June Networks Northwest, July for the newsletter and July and August for outreach.
Yeah, so, yeah, there you go. 7 and 10.
I think you just have to move it forward if you want to make it not so huge on the screen, because I don't know how to make it change there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, take the mallet over there. You just don't seem like a mallet person. Oh, I've heard it quiet things down.
Oh. Okay, I think we can get started. While Randy's setting up, let's do a mic check. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, and now call to order the ROS meeting. 1:00, 1:06. On April 24th. Pledge of allegiance is optional.
Let's do it.
Does anybody? Thank
Let's do
you.
it. Absolutely. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call of members.
Steelman. Milnick.
Present.
McElway.
Here.
Revant.
Here.
Altonen.
Here.
Bing.
Here.
Okay.
Cheryl? Yes, can I get you to do the radio? Oh, sure. Thanks.
Oh,
Recording then.
Do we have any declarations of conflict of interest?
No,
No.
no,
Okay. Set and adjust meeting agenda. Are there any additions? Okay. And we can't do deletions. Don't know what we delete. Okay. So public comment is next.
Up here. Rachel?
Okay, Rachel Steelman, the floor is yours.
Hey, good afternoon, you guys. I wish I could be there. And then since I'm not able to participate, I wanted to take this chance to inform you of something I recently learned. So all subcommittees of the PC have the opportunity to be paid. However, in order to be paid, a motion needs to be made and reflected in the minutes indicating who would like to be paid. So a little bit of information about it. Subcommittee members, including residents, can be paid. The fiscal year 23-24 rate is $75 per meeting for members and $125 per meeting for the chair. PC members are already in the township's payroll system. However, if residents are interested in being paid, you would need to make an appointment with the clerk's office to complete payroll paperwork so the payments can be made. It's not clear to me yet if making a motion during this subcommittee today is the final step or if we need to run this through a regular PC meeting, sorry. And or the township board. I also am not sure if payments can be made retroactively, so expect some more information to come on that. And I also wanted to apologize for not knowing, understanding, and sharing all of this sooner. But for now and for today, at some point during your meeting, an appropriate motion might be something like the following individuals in the Residents Outreach Subcommittee are requesting payment. That would be me, Rachel Steelman, and anybody else who's interested. And then you'd also might say the following individuals in the Resident Outreach Subcommittee are volunteering their time, thus not seeking payment, and list those names. So yes, please include me in the yes portion of your motion today. Thank you and have a great meeting. I will have to step away for most of it, but I'll try to listen in as I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, okay. No one in the audience in here for comment? Okay. All right, if no other further comment, we'll move into the agenda for our special meeting. And I made notes on Rachel's suggestion, and we will add that as item number 6 to discuss payments for attendees for the subcommittee. Part of 3. Oh, okay. All right.
Number 4, I'm sorry.
Number 4. Okay. Thank you. All right, item number 1, review and discuss version 4 of resident survey. And before we do that, I just wanted to thank all of you for your great work in getting survey version 3 in place. I think the PC had some really interesting moments of thinking what the survey is all about. And we've never, at least in my 3 months on the PC, we've never really gotten into the questions and in the mechanics of how all of this is going to work. So I think they understand the depth of what's being done in this committee. And the two, Tom and Denise, your presentation of the questions and your comments, I think really allowed some good discussion to go on. So the information that was provided back to Rachel, and Tom sent special notes to us about what his thoughts were from that meeting. And it appears that the magic has already happened and Randy has created version 4. So we've got an updated document to begin with. And we can turn it over to you, Randy, or if there's anybody else with additional comments coming out of the PC meeting or related to version 4. If no comments, it's yours, Randy.
Okay, well, I did take a shot at version number 4. I appreciate the comments, Tom, and putting this in writing because I wasn't at the previous meeting, so I was worked off of what you gave me. In some cases, it's not clear what the change should be, but you should all have a copy of version 4, and then also behind that is version 3 for reference if you want to see what it was before it changed. As before, the new changes are in yellow. And so it may make sense to just walk through these and make sure that we've captured the change properly. First one, there wasn't any comment there. Question 2 about the residency box. It says to add property owner, not resident. So that's shown in yellow. When I saw that, I did have a question in my mind, though, about, we asked residency either full-time, seasonal, and then ownership separately. So a person, I guess that last box could just be not a resident. because we have ownership separately. Is that, or am I missing something here?
But
Tom
you,
can address that because
Okay.
that was the reason it was changed, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a comment made after the most recent survey in 2009. If you aren't a resident, why are you filling this out? And, why did you even get to vote on this?
Mhm.
I think it was a resident who felt offended that non-residents were allowed to take the survey. But as was pointed out at the meeting the other day, you don't have to be a resident to be a property owner.
right,
And I think one of the ways of disseminating the survey is to property owners.
I went back to the 2009 survey and just to verify what was the percentage, if any, that said that they were property owners and not a resident, and it was over 10%. So we do have a number of
Mhm.
people in that non-resident but property owner category. So that one, I think clearly we
Okay.
need to make sure that it stays on the
Yeah.
survey.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you go to the property. Okay, when you go to the property ownership section, then you can be a property owner, not a resident, and not rent your property. You can just own the property. So, you could, or you could be a full, seasonal resident and rent your property. So it kind of
Okay,
cross.
a lot of
references,
variations
yeah.
here. Yeah. Okay.
I agree with the first part there. And then the employment, when I went through this and I wasn't at the last meeting, I'm like, well, wait a second, where do I fall in here? I work outside of the township. So I think there needs to be something in there. I would think something's missing the way that I read it right now.
Yeah, we brought that up, but then the question is, what
Right.
is the purpose of that third box of employment? How are we going to utilize information gleaned from that? But I had the same thought that when I was working, I have lived here, but I didn't work here.
Right.
And there was no option for me to check in that box, which is okay. Depends on what we want to get out of that third box.
Well, I guess what they're looking for is how many people are employed within the township versus outside the township. In development, commercial opportunities, or maybe everybody has a home business that is in the township and they don't really, I don't know, work for someone else. I'm sure there's some home businesses that hire people.
But the entities that you work for were outside the
Right.
area, but you
Yeah.
live here and worked out of your home or,
No,
Mm-mm.
I drove into Traverse City
okay.
to do my work.
I wouldn't actually be able to answer this last question. Because, well, I guess I could. I'm self-employed, but I actually work outside of Whitewater Township. So I don't know if that really applies. So I think if we're going to try to gather this information, I just wouldn't know where to answer this for myself personally. And there are a lot of people that live here and work outside of the township.
And I think that we will likely discover, if we do this question correctly, add a box in there. Do you work from home, or something that captures that there are other kinds of residency opportunities that are going on within the township. I know of several of my neighbors that have small businesses operating out of their home. I don't think it's an unfair question to ask, but it would give us some more demographics information. I don't know if we get into that in demographics.
Well, one of the things we can do with these results is that you can what's called stratify the results, where we can look at, of the people that are employed in Whitewater Township, what do they think? Just take out that group and just sort that out and see, so there's lots of different ways to slice and dice the information. And that may give us some insight into what people in that category of lifestyle or employment characteristics want in their, how they view the township, which might be different than what other people think about the township. So I think adding a question in there makes more sense.
I guess the only other thing I would say is excuse me, the middle one, I am a self-employed resident or otherwise work from home in Whitewater Township. So again, I'm self-employed. I might be thinking to answer that, but really I'm working outside of Whitewater Township. So maybe we might want to reword that.
You would be able to check both of those. Added a box that said work outside the township, you would check both of those. Because I do too, I'm self-employed and I work outside the township. And I work in the township, so.
So
You
in
check
that
all
case,
three.
we'd have 4 boxes or keep it at 3.
In order to get. Are you? That's okay. What are we asking in the second one? Working from home, basically, but you could be working from home or you could be employed or self-employed or working for somebody else and working from home. So do we want to distinguish that? Because again, as it reads here, I am self-employed. I would think to check that, but then it says, or otherwise work from home in Whitewater Township. So are you saying if I'm self-employed and work from home?
Or otherwise.
So
Maybe
yeah.
separate that question. I am a self-employed resident, period. And then remote work, you would be working outside the township more likely or not. And you could put, work outside the township. Remote, if you're home but work remotely, you're working from outside,
an employer from outside.
an employer from outside the township.
If
Would
If-
that make the box work?
Would we get the information that we wanted if we said as option number 1, I am employed and I work in Whitewater Township? Number 2, I am employed and I work outside of Whitewater Township. And number 3, I am not employed or I am retired. First 2 would be the options for those who are employed, and it separates it in or outside of the township.
The only question is, do we want to find out if they're actually business owners as well?
That would be the extra box. I own a business in Whitewater Township. I'm employed, I'm self-employed resident. I am not employed. I own a business in Whitewater Township.
So own a business and then.
Yeah.
I work in the township, I work outside of the township, or I'm lucky enough to be retired.
Yeah. So on the first part of, Tom, you said to leave out I own or I am employed, just put I am employed by a business or other entity in Whitewater Township. Is that what you said?
Change it on the screen if you want. Employed by a business or other entity in Whitewater Township,
Then I'm a self-employed resident
period.
and leave out or take out or otherwise work from home. Yeah. The last one, I'm a business owner.
Well.
No,
and If I were to fill this out when I was working, I wouldn't fit into any one of the
Right.
boxes, which again is not necessarily a bad thing if we're not trying to capture that information.
Where would you not fit in? What part?
because he would be an employee outside of Whitewater Township.
I am employed, but do not work in Whitewater Township.
Oh, I see,
Okay.
because we didn't,
Want to just add that as an option?
yeah,
Sure.
I'm employed outside, because I guess people might want to know how many commuters there are, or,
Yeah, I think having more boxes where people don't feel like they're stumbling, trying
Right.
to pick a category. That would be helpful.
So I'm employed in Whitewater Township. I'm employed outside of Whitewater Township, self-employed, not employed or retired, and a business owner. I think that's all great information to have.
did that enlarge the space on the,
Yeah,
we have to somehow because we're reduce the size of the box. I employed outside, just leave outside of Whitewater Township.
Beyond that type of.
I am employed, delete the by a business or other entity and see if that can get us out to one line. Probably not.
Yeah, just, I am employed.
But work outside of Whitewater.
I'm employed outside of Whitewater Township.
That's pretty clear.
So the first line, could we shorten that to I am employed out in Whitewater Township by a business, delete other entity?
Yeah, we probably don't need other entity.
Yeah. Yeah, there.
We good?
Yes,
Is there overlap between number 1 and number 3? Could be self-employed and that would be a business.
I'm employed,
People could probably separate that out.
yeah. You could be an employee of a business, or you could be,
I guess if we're gonna say that, do you need self-employed as well as a business owner? Could you have,
just take that line out.
Self-employed resident / business owner?
sure, self-employed, yeah.
And then take out I'm a business owner at the end,
Yep.
the last one. Okay.
If we move in the residency box, the second and third options up, does it make the total box smaller?
Yeah,
Let's see here. Why? I can go around that. later.
Mhm.
That's-
yeah, okay.
okay, so we're good on 2,
Yeah.
other than trying to. Yeah, okay, is this process helpful to do it online?
You're not live like this?
Yeah, doing it live.
I think so, because then, unless you think it's taking too much time.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I feel comfortable doing it this way, so
Yeah.
we leave the meeting
done.
Yep.
all agreeing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I just ask about number 1? And I just saw about this earlier today. The person that answers the survey could be, fit in any one of those categories. Do we need to know anything about anybody else in the household, or if there's, you know, the husband and wife who both want to fill it out, that kind of thing. Maybe when we get to the end, we'll think about that. I don't know. Cause,
Yeah, that's a big discussion on who's gonna get a survey.
yeah, okay, we'll just, then it's just a survey, so we'll just go further on the survey. Number 3,
Okay. So question number 3 said no comments, the NA option. Okay, let's scroll down here a little bit.
I like that. The 2009 survey only had north and south of M72. This
Yeah.
really provides some more granularity.
I wasn't really sure why NA was necessary when I first saw this.
if they,
Well, that's where you live in.
yeah, if they don't live in the township. but
Oh,
they
I
own
see.
property.
Okay. But when did they answer where their property is?
They could be employed in Whitewater Township, but not living here.
Non-residents,
Yeah,
non-property
right.
owners who get a survey.
Gotcha.
Question 4. Change that to adequacy of infrastructure. Question 5. There's a question about combining that with question 15.
Mhm.
Question 15, you remember, was from the previous survey exactly, so we thought that it might be helpful to compare the results from the survey from 2009 to 2022.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. And number 5, the second line, to improve livability. I'm not sure how people will
Yes.
interpret that.
Yes, that was one of the questions there. That was. Is there another term that you'd prefer?
Would you say quality of life?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that would be,
Mhm.
they would interpret that more closely to what we want.
Quality of living.
Living or life?
Associate life with life or death,
Right.
living with.
I like quality of living.
Quality of living, okay.
It was a concern about the term physical development.
Is that on 5 or
Yeah.
on
fine.
5, or
That's
first,
fine.
first sentence
property maintenance? Am I in the right one?
in the introductory paragraph or
Right there
sentence.
in the
In
term.
terms of the existing pattern of physical development.
Oh, okay.
Probably not physical development. Existing pattern of township development or
Yeah, maybe township development.
Very good.
Mhm.
I put that, please indicate one area you feel, so that's been taken care of.
Mhm. Yeah,
Question group 3 was to add the word your view of rural character and agriculture, and that's done. Under orchards, farm stands, and other agricultural land, that's there. Question 7. In your opinion, identify the most scenic view from a public road in all of Whitewater Township. there was some question about the relevancy of that question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from what I remember, it was, is this a question that makes people think about the beautiful resources we have here and, you know, what should we be aware of that people enjoy? And I think there was some people who thought maybe that doesn't apply. I tend to think it does, you know, knowing where there's an important feature within the township that our community likes is a advantage for us to work with.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
somebody putting in Sand Lake's quiet area or, you know, just any of the other parks that we have, I think is just confirmation of some things are being done right,
Mhm.
or maybe some things aren't. We think that we've done improvements, but nobody recognized it as a feature. So it just seems like it's a relevant question for the survey.
For me, it's a part of community pride, what you
Mhm.
you see in your township that is beautiful.
Yeah.
And also because many people are only familiar with their quadrant, going back to the quadrants. They have, they don't know what's north of 72 if they live south of 72 and vice versa. It gives someone the opportunity to think that maybe they should drive someplace in another route in their township. So that's how I look at it.
So I thought of it in terms of if there were development proposals before the planning commission and it happened to fall into one of the areas that the township residents have identified as, you know, one of the key, most attractive places that we would want to spend more time
Mhm.
Yeah,
reviewing it.
Great point.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to leave it as is.
I think it's a relevant question.
Okay. Question 8 then. I think the comments were, I think that was very helpful to put.
Mhm.
My only hesitation there was the fact that I'm not sure you could feasibly go below an acre without and still get a well and septic system on some of the.
Yeah. And 8 and 9, yes, was removed as a
Yes.
possible choice.
So, oh, okay.
Yeah, you just said,
So we need a yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And you,
If you're going to add it, I would probably suggest putting yes first.
that's what had them.
That work?
Mhm.
Yeah. And it is possible to have a
Yeah.
septic system and a well, but less than 1 acre, but
So we have the same issue here that I have to mention.
Now, this question 8 doesn't really provide large acreage as an option. And there are large parcels north of M72. It seems like we would want to add that back in as a question. Do you want to continue to have large parcels? Because it's farming, generally farming or open land.
Do you want a selection of like 5 acre, 10 acre, 20 acre, add it to
I
the
would say 5 acres or more would be the minimum.
as another option.
as another option, or
Yeah.
10 acres and above, something like that.
Yeah,
So maybe it should say no, 2 to 4 acres is more appropriate, or no 5 acres plus is more appropriate.
Well, it says if you've had thought of an appropriate minimum lot size, please share it here. So are we addressing it there?
Because we're asking minimums.
It's minimum, right?
Yeah, yeah. Do we get into that question with larger acre parcels
Just
later in the survey?
just the second question is in the RC district,
Yeah.
the minimum
the
lot size is
south of
5.
72.
Yeah. You could put, since in the question, it's a 1 acre minimum, you could put as column, the second column, 5 acre minimum, 10 acre minimum, just to see where people are thinking of farmland or over. Farmers feel maybe differently about it than the owner of the property feels different about it than the person that doesn't own the property. Like I really like the open space, but when someone needs money, they think that they should be able to sell any property any size that they want. But if they don't know about the parcel split law, they might think that they could sell off 1 acre or 2 acres, but in reality, if they did that, that would minimize the number of splits they have left and things like that. It's probably an educational section for the public as well. But you can put 5, I would like to put 5 acre or 10 acre as to see
Well,
what they're thinking.
We do follow up there and say, if you have a thought about an appropriate minimum lot size,
Right.
please share it.
Right.
So
That's the minimum lot size.
minimum, right.
When you put lot, I would change that maybe to acre
Parcel.
or
Parcel.
minimum parcel size.
Lot sounds suburban, doesn't it?
Yes, it sounds like 500 by 200 or something.
It's up in the question itself as well. We have lots. Maybe we could switch. There's 2 that have lot.
1 acre minimum parcel size. And then the last line.
If you read the question that's asking about the minimum, we're saying you can answer it yes or no. And if they're answering it as too small, maybe you could put a line next to it's too small or too large. What is your suggestion if you're saying no? If I feel it's too small.
Reading this question, I can just see people saying, what's going on here? What are people trying to break up the large lots to something smaller? I think that one just needs some more definition or more options that recognize large parcels are a big part of that northern tier of property. And I don't think there's any harm in adding either a box or another question about farming or large lots, especially on the north side of M72.
That's true. If farmer, I'll just say a farmer would hopefully come into the follow-up workshops and explain their position, why they think as they do. In your mind, is this 1 acre minimum parcel size appropriate? Appropriate might be a word that's kind of needs to be changed a little bit, because that means, it kind of has a different meaning to people. Like, is it a
Suitable, proper.
if you, the right size, or you could put it, because we have like a third of a line there, it's this 1 acre minimum parcel size. The something, Vicky's good at words here. I'm gonna hurt somebody else, but in the agricultural district. It's 1 acre parcel size, the
Are you trying to find a different word for appropriate?
yeah, it's, yeah, because is this what you want in the agricultural district?
Well, this question is part of group 3, which is your view of rural character and
Right.
agriculture. And I think we just really have to have a question specific to rural character and agriculture. I don't see 1 acre and 2 acre parcels being the only option we're asking questions about. Somehow we've got to ask a question about the larger lots, the agricultural side of the businesses up there.
I think we got into the 1 acre parcel size because that's the current zoning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right,
And I think what we're asking, particularly under a headline of your view of rural character and agriculture, is agriculture 1 zoning most appropriate? Or 1 acre lots available in 1 acre in A1 zoning? Is that what we're looking for? Is that what the township agrees is defining rural character?
If you look at the total question, that's what the whole question is about. It says the minimum required parcel size is 1 acre. In your mind, is this 1 acre minimum parcel size appropriate in the agricultural district? Yes, no, too small, too large, not sure. And then have you thought about what is your thought on the appropriate minimum parcel size in the agricultural district? It's just, we're not telling them what to think. We're just asking them what they're thinking.
I mean, I think appropriate's a pretty good word for this
Mhm.
actual question. I don't know that I can think of something else.
Yeah, just adding a minimum parcel size. A lot just means, lot to me means really something small in a subdivision, which would not apply, hopefully, in the agricultural district from my perspective.
I guess the question as it's written is correct. I'd agree with that. However, I think that there's another question we need to add, and rather than, try to work that out now, I'll take a stab, if you don't mind,
Okay,
and just see how I can come up with something that talks about farmland and bigger parcels. And how do people view those, with some questions underneath or some responses underneath? So I'll take that on.
okay.
Is that all right?
okay. Just point out though that number 6, we asked people to define the elements of rural character, and dwellings on large parcels is one
Mhm.
option, and there's certainly many more, but so it'd be interesting to see how the responses to that
Mhm.
correlate with the
Mhm.
responses to what people think are minimum lot size. Okay. So did you want to move on from that then and set that
Yes.
aside for now?
Yeah.
Do you think we have to clarify the last line of question 8? Identifying that specifically we're talking about agricultural zoning. Rather than a more general question in the township, if you have a thought about an appropriate minimum parcel size. please share it here. Just, focusing back on this question
Mhm.
has to do, remember, this question has to do with A1.
Is that what you meant to add? Just
Yeah.
okay. Q9 is the same thing.
So add the yes to this.
And the lots parcels.
And then we might want to do the same thing here.
Yeah.
Minimum parcel size in the recreational area. A recreational district.
RC1.
Rod, what does RC stand for, recreational?
Not
Con-
sure.
Mis-
Conservation.
Recreation,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah, we should
I think
clarify.
you have to put yes in there as well, you said.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. I would actually put in where it's saying zone recreational. What is that? It's recreational, whatever. And
Hmm.
And then we, to shorten make it the spaces, for the formatting, put two. Yes, not sure, or no, 5 acres. I mean, can you put 2 and 2, or is? I'm trying to figure out, of the 4 choices we have there, yes, no, no, not sure, if we can put 2 and 2 without it looking too. I know we can put yes on one side.
are you talking about putting it over on the
Yeah,
other
2
side?
columns
Oh,
to show,
gotcha.
so we have more, it's a formatting thing, so we have more
Yeah.
space. Maybe after this is over, you can work
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
formatting.
that'll take a little time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let me just make a separate list.
I'm trying to save paper.
Yeah, because
Keep it
we're,
at-
Yeah.
yeah, and we're adding.
Well, that's time. spend
Yeah.
time formatting.
Yeah.
And then you're going to verify RC.
Yes, let me look that up. Pretty sure it's one of those.
Yeah.
No, it just says recreational RC. That's right.
In that question, it identified it recreational as RC1 on 2 separate occasions. You could probably, in the very last sentence, just say
C1,
RC1
Yeah.
rather than recreational district.
probably the same thing for the agricultural.
Yeah. Because you have A1, yeah.
That could be A1 too.
Yeah.
Number 10.
And then in that, the top sentence on that page, you could again say, instead of agricultural district, you could say A1. Might save a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to question 10.
Hmm.
So we changed it to important to match up with the question in 15. That's been done.
And question 10, I was wondering if that should be dropped down into commercial development, but tourism and commercial development. Because it doesn't, agricultural tourism, this is just a question that you want it under your view of rural character and agriculture, or do you want it under tourism and commercial development?
I tend to think of it as more a feature in the agricultural district as it stands today.
And group 3 is rural character and agriculture.
Mhm.
Okay.
So question 11, we were left with, there's some grammar portions in the first sentence.
Yeah.
And then layman's terms on the two. So curb cuts is the same as limited driveways.
Mhm.
And attractive building designs rather than themed architecture or something like that.
Right. We struggled on that on a previous meeting, that description.
Are we good there?
Mhm.
You have 2 lines for other describe.
Oh. Yeah, because they could pick two.
Ah. Gotcha.
Number 12.
12. Clarified that I think we had government buildings, so I broke it down to post office and fire station.
Mm-hmm.
I think that looks good.
Mhm.
13 is on housing. Short-term rentals. So there's a question about formatting before, I want to take care of that, but the this is difficult, is that state law could change and impact how what we can't
Right.
do, but for now, it's state law is generally silent on this.
I think it's a good description in a generic sense with proper questions being asked. I
Mhm.
like it.
I agree.
Mhm.
Okay. 14. That seemed to be fine before.
Mhm.
Okay, and then 15 was adding high-speed internet as a improvement. You point out the town board's already working on that and has been for some time. again, this question is identical to what was in 2009 as you see it. So do we want to add high-speed internet there, knowing that that was not a choice back in 2009?
It's almost a done deal, isn't it, in the township right now? With high-speed internet?
Mhm.
They're working on it with the funds that they have, but not everyone still will have access to high-speed internet.
Oh,
The money will run out before the need.
okay, all right.
So,
So it'll still be on our list.
Mhm.
Okay,
yeah,
so add it back in or
I
add
would.
it.
I would have it in there.
On 15, I don't see anything about public sewer system. We have availability of public water.
Yeah.
We add that in,
sewer system,
sewer system, yeah,
yeah.
And that question 15,
on 15.
As long as we're shooting for the moon, we can add it in, right?
Yeah.
did you say public sewer?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And I like adding that in because do you support paying additional funds for this? If
Yeah.
they want it, but they're not willing, then, you know,
And
Could recreation facilities be recreational facilities?
um. Park facilities. I'm just trying to think of what park facilities would be. Pavilion. Or just in general. Park improvements or facility improvements. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not, when we're thinking of things.
There may be some thoughts of brand new facilities
Mhm.
in some of the parks rather than upgrades. So I think that's probably okay the way it's written.
Yeah, and then they can add it on question 16.
Yes.
If they want to give more detail. I think others my favorite category. I can hardly wait to see what people write. That's always the interesting.
Okay, well, that was helpful. I
Mhm.
think. So with the exception of making 8 and 9 into more columns and just some formatting, I think we're there, aren't we?
There's,
And the question you got,
yeah, there's another question I found in the 2009 survey that it doesn't deal with the physical township growth. But it was asking the question, how do you rate the services within the township? There was individual ratings on fire department, ambulance, township board, planning commission. And it made me think, I don't know of any other place in the township communications with the public that we ask questions like, are we doing the right things? Are you getting the services you need? Does that belong or fit in the survey, or is that just, outside of this kind of a survey? I think
Good
the
question.
planning commission certainly fits within here because you're, talking about, that's what this is all about, zoning and managing zoning.
I think it's a good question, but I'm not sure that it is pertinent to developing the master plan.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would tend to agree that that's good information, but it's unlikely that the master plan would have recommendations on the service level of things that might surface from that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
at the beginning, you had mentioned, Denise, about who's filling this out. I mean, we're putting in here input is valued, appreciated, and confidential. And I feel if it's being sent out, and I know we're going to talk about how it's being distributed and gathering information, but I mean, both my husband and I could fill this out. We may have different opinions, so I think that, and right now, we're both in the same age bracket.
if there was an additional room, I would like your input about is valued, appreciated, confidential as a separate line at the bottom so that people know. Many people want to answer, but they don't want their they don't want anything out about them, like who filled it out it just reminds me of the property maintenance under one of the questions. What does that mean? Does that mean blight or setbacks or, I'm not quite sure how people, because everyone thinks that they, they maintain the property that
Mhm.
the way they should, or the way they can, and yeah.
Well, I think my guess is the reason that's in there is that the township has regulations that are difficult to enforce and people may be unhappy with what the best that their neighbor can do, not meeting township standards.
Yeah, I think that's what it means.
Yeah.
As well, but I'm not, I don't know. It's open to interpretation. I think some people feel like they maintain their property fine. And others that maybe their neighbors think not so fine. That kind of thing. But one of the questions or categories that came up on the ARPA survey was the number of people who thought that we needed an enforcement officer. And now that I just saw that nothing on here mentions that. I don't know if that's something we want to delve into or just go with this.
I know that's been an issue in the township in the past.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's a current issue.
I think that there's a red check mark. We need to figure out how that gets communicated to the public and the feedback comes to the township. And maybe the PC will look at that and try to figure out how we get the feedback, because it is a big concern within that organization as well. Why have all these rules and regulations if nobody's enforcing it?
Well, to that point, the Planning Enabling Act does talk about master plans addressing cleaning up blight and redevelopment
Yeah.
type issues. So that's
That would fit in.
a valid subject to be looking at in a master plan.
Okay, are we done with that?
I think we are.
Okay,
Are we considering additional questions then for that as well as the point you were raising?
I believe so. Now's the opportunity.
And again, just to kind of frame this whole thing and the whole process, this is the beginning of public outreach. Our hope is to learn from the results of this and then craft the development of additional public workshops that are more topical, that could be an opportunity to delve into these issues more completely, because I mean, here we're asking one question and getting an answer, and granted, it's the whole township answering it, but it often opens more questions than it resolves. So, you know, we can't look at the survey as the only outreach we're gonna have, you know. There'll be opportunities for more.
Yeah, now the next opportunity for this to be reviewed is May 3rd with the PC in the next formal meeting. So if I get my question to you and we figure out, you know, whether it's acceptable or not, would we consider that that's the scope of the questions from this side? However, I do think the PC will probably have their own set of questions that are more directed towards zoning and not necessarily asking questions about how you feel Whitewater Township is doing with its, all these 16 questions. I think there'd be some more specific questions that we'll want to add.
To add to the survey.
Add to the
Yeah.
survey or figure out a way how that those
Okay.
questions get out there.
Okay, working with a timeline, when I was under the impression that they wanted it to go out with the tax bills, which was the 3-page limit. This may go into the survey mechanism portion of this, but if we're going to do a separate mailing, then we're not tied to 3 pages. And right now we're up to 5. So 1 of 5, which would be,
It was, I didn't worry so much about packing it down to 4. I think we could get it to 4.
you think you can do 2 pages front and back and get it down to,
I think so.
and then it could go in with the tax.
I think so. Some of those columns you were talking about can make this definitely.
Yeah.
Comment,
Uh-oh.
Lois?
Wrong one. Are we open for comments right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Did we want it back by mid-June? I didn't know that.
I don't know that we really had a long discussion about when that deadline is, but I thought the conversation was we were trying to get our public workshops done in late summer, early summer, or not early summer, but mid to late summer, while people are here. And then
Yeah.
we had a conversation about that potentially going into September.
Is this under the survey mechanism?
Yeah, let's
Yes,
let's
go on.
move into item 2, potential survey mechanism.
Did you have a timeline that you had in your mind on this?
No, just timing the workshops to be aligned with when most people are here. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no drop dead date. I don't believe in that, but just, we don't want to get criticism for having workshops in November, you know,
Yeah,
or something
correct.
like that.
Initially, I thought that we were considering the July 1st tax mailing because we were trying to save money on the postage. But if that isn't something we need to worry about now, that's fine. I just didn't, I had not, I hadn't taken that into consideration.
Well, I wasn't here at the last meeting. I don't know if there was
I
a discussion about that.
Say that if our priority is trying to save money, we should not go down that rabbit hole. Having the survey done right, the
Yes.
right questions, having the timing spaced out so we have people resourced for, you know, all the elements of this whole project, I think would be probably the better
Mhm.
place to tie our dates to.
Yes, I agree, because a lot of people don't open their tax bill.
Yeah,
They go tax bill and they throw it into a pile and they're not going to deal with it right away. So that's great because that gives us more flexibility. And then we had the discussion briefly on the online survey opportunities
Mhm.
through Northwest Networks.
Networks Northwest.
Yeah. I have not contacted them again, but
I reached out to them and we played phone tag before
yeah,
things happened. I didn't get to talk with them, but it sounds as though that for a couple $1,000s, they would do the tabulation and they would help put the
they
material
would
online.
post it online, they would, and the nice thing about that was all of the hand surveys we had returned, we could take them down there and they would manually enter them into the online survey. And then they could do all the graphs and charts for us. And I thought that's so worth it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think there's also
agree.
advantage to having a third party do that tabulation too, that
Yeah.
it's nobody.
Of course, when we're working with them, we need to have give them a proper amount of notice and time and work up and things like that. So if we have a timeline, we need to stick to it so that we can go backwards to when we need to have this up and running. So when do you want to have the workshops? July, August?
Well, as I think that's as much your call as mine, I guess, in terms of what's the best way to reach out to people
Mhm.
here and when do people generally leave? I mean, not everyone leaves. We
Yeah,
go for
October 1st.
October 1st.
Yeah, that's when people,
So if we shot for
August.
August, September, October.
Yep.
Well, August, September.
yeah. And then that would be for the workshop. So the survey would, from what I recall from the contact at Networks Northwest, is they wouldn't keep the survey open more than
Couple
But the-
weeks.
couple of weeks. He said 2 weeks. However, they would keep it open for maybe another week or two for those people who would do it online. So that would be 1 month total.
For the month of July.
Yeah,
Okay, so by the end of July, surveys are back.
yeah.
I think that's a very workable schedule
Mhm.
right now.
If they're only back by the end of July, are we going to have our ducks in a row to have workshops in August?
A little, we couldn't do it in early August, obviously. There wouldn't
Yeah.
be enough time. And then, so
Well, can I ask mid-June do we have to go back to mid-June to get the surveys out?
well, it would be dependent on the taxes. If that's July 1st.
Well,
Yeah,
we're not worried
gonna-
about
it
We're
going.
not gonna worry about
Oh.
that now, so we could do it in June. I think come July, and in my mind, July 1st, that's like a whole week of activities, the first 4th of July weekend and family and everything and the tax bill and people are just gonna get their mail and pile it up because they're too busy. And we may have to go back to the community and do some maybe door to door if we don't get enough returns or something. So I'd like to know that early enough to,
Well, it's pretty darn close to being ready to go.
yeah,
And so to be able to have this go out in June, should not be that difficult. You know, maybe after Memorial Day, when people are coming back.
Well, this is the primary document that would be sent to the
Mhm.
public.
Mhm.
Right.
All of the other stuff is, kind of our backroom process.
Mhm.
Right.
So, doing it in June could be feasible, and it would give us that greater window for doing the workshops. And having participated in a couple workshops in East Bay, there were a lot of people who were sitting in these workshops, and they were not getting the answers they wanted, and what was scheduled as one workshop became 2 and 3 and 4
Mhm.
until, all of the questions were answered, or, at least there was an agreement that we've done all we can do. The deadline's here, let's start closing down the workshops. And that was, they thought they could do it in 2 months, and it was a full 3 months. I don't know if they're through it yet, but it was an interesting process, lots of riparian kinds of questions because of the lakes in the supply road area and parts of Boardman River running through their townships. But that one seemed to be the biggest issue.
So are you saying, try and have it out by the month of June?
Well,
Like
if we could.
before, like June 1st, June
Yeah, if
30th?
we could have our survey ready, say by June 1st. And then get the approvals, and I'm not sure, the PC would have to approve it. I'm assuming we'd have to run it through the board as well. So we'd have to figure out the timing for that, but getting it out in June, I think is a doable task, whether it's on the front end or the middle or tail end of June.
I don't think that would be doable if you're saying running it by PC and the board, because I think we're coming up on the deadline for the board meeting for May. And you're thinking of waiting until the next PC meeting for the next question, which is the 3rd. So I think we would miss out on the May board meeting. You'd be looking at June board meeting.
Well, we're trying to schedule a separate board meeting between
For
the
this.
PC and the board, tentatively the 17th of May right now. And we're trying to tee up the things that we know need to keep moving and moving with priority. This would be one of them.
Mhm.
So could we get it through the board at that point? That would be what we'd like to do, whether we can or not. Yeah, that could be.
That would require a yes, no decision at the same time that it's presented to the board,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
not
Is
the rule.
Is it possible that your question could be added for the May 3rd PC meeting, and then we have we just put it on the May meeting for the board as well?
Yeah,
Just put it in the
I'll get
packet.
that question
Yep.
to Randy this week.
And then just submit it to the board, and if they want to reword it, they can.
So that means the board seeing it before the PC does.
No, the
No.
PC would see it on the 3rd.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And we're trying to package all
I
of
see.
the documents
Okay.
and priority items for the 17th. So
I see. Okay.
the May
Yep,
3rd
yep,
is the
that should-
working
that-
meeting.
That could work then.
And
Is the May,
The next board meeting is May 9th.
and they could look at it May 9th, and then if they couldn't get resolution on May 9th, then they had the 17th meeting.
I don't think we get it to the May 9th. Because we'd still have to have the PC review it, and then they have 10 working days between the PC meeting to get it to the May 9th board meeting, and there's just not enough time to do that.
Well, we can put this updated survey in the PC's packet, which I know Rachel's
For the
working on to
3rd.
get out for the
Yeah.
3rd,
Yeah,
and then just take it a step at a time. I mean, it's,
And
If-
maybe just put it in the board packet as well with one pending question, and then,
well, what we're finding out is
Oh.
the May board agenda is just packed. In June is almost packed, so trying to get anything on there is why we're asking them to
And
come
put a
meet. with
special-
the
a special meeting
PC.
on the 19th.
Special meeting, yeah.
Yeah, because the June meeting isn't, board meeting isn't until June 13th.
yeah, and
Well, if we can't do June, then, the flag has to go up real soon. I mean, if approvals wait that long, I'd say, we've got a real priority issue because it will just push us out into that September, October timeframe before we're done with
Yeah.
workshops and
Right.
such. I don't think that works.
Mm.
We can put together a little timeline for the planning commission so they understand too what we're dealing with.
I'll put a timeline together.
Good.
Okay.
Is that item number 3? The recommendations for the joint PC? TB?
That's 3. There was a question at the last PC meeting about whether we have to go out and bid the questionnaire. With Networks North, we have to bring in a second vendor. I don't know if that's a true process here or not, but the question was raised.
Mhm.
We may have to go out for bids.
Okay. I have one company that did it for another township out of Grand Rapids, but I haven't reached out to them to see how much they would charge. I could contact them and just ask them if we prepare the survey, what would they have to do? They would have to, I mean, what we're asking is, they would have to put it online and summarize and print. I believe it was Fife Lakes survey. They used someone out of Grand Rapids.
I've used a company out of Lansing before, but I can guarantee you it'll be more than $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there is, a $5,000 limit that we might find where we'd have to get 2 quotes. If we're talking about $2,000, maybe that's something that we're not required to go out and get multiple bids.
Are we?
So
going-
are you pretty comfortable with the $2,000 number covering all of it?
Considering all they're doing, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was with us. That was with us preparing the survey and mailing it out.
okay,
And then they were gonna post it online and tabulate all of the results that they received online. And then we could take the physical copies that were mailed back to us or dropped off, and they would enter it into the online survey format that they had. And from that, they would tabulate and graft everything.
okay. Do you have a written quote?
No, he just over the phone. I mean,
Okay,
if you want,
yeah, let's try to get a quote.
and that would probably be a good idea simply because that we could also get a timeline, how much time they would
Yeah.
need. They would want to know the date we mailed and they would, I think they probably would want it up and running the same day we mailed. So they'll
Mhm.
need lead time.
Okay.
In your experience, does the tabulating company have to see or approve of the survey? Because they're gonna have to deal with it. I mean, is it in a form or would they require it be in a form that,
That would be a
Suits their
good question to ask them that we could share the survey with them and,
yeah,
So we will supply the survey and mail. And
So
mail,
just ask them if they need to see the survey,
oh, they will because they'll have to have the exact same wording.
to see if it's the
To give it
format,
Oh.
to see if it's the right format, or do they have to approve it, is what Tom was asking.
If they have to approve it, like if.
so they're gonna put
do
it
they
in the
like these
survey.
little box things or do they wanna?
We want radio buttons instead of
But if
boxes.
we could find that out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think
You said they had some kind of proprietary software that they use.
they do. That's when I initially was looking to see how much the software cost. And it was like $1,800 for the software, but they have it And it's out of the ratings, the best rated one was the one they use, and so I was pleased with that. So it's actually survey software.
Does anybody know who we have to go to in the township to determine whether we need 2 quotes?
I'll,
The clerk,
I'll talk to
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
can we do that now? I mean, during the meeting?
No.
No, okay.
There must be, I'm sure there's a written policy somewhere.
Okay, any other comments, discussion on the potential survey mechanism? Okay. So
Yeah,
recommendation.
yes, I have
Oh,
a
okay.
question.
Yes, sir.
How have we determined who's gonna get these? And to Vicky's question, do we send 2 to each household? Do we say if you want, you can make a photocopy of it so that your spouse can turn it in? I think there's other questions yet as far as how do we disseminate this?
Mhm.
So one way to do that is to send it to each household, but then say that there is an online version on the township website that people can go and utilize. And then you can give them a number to put in to the survey. I don't know if their network software
I didn't ask.
has that, but that way somebody wouldn't, it'd be much easier if they inputted their stuff directly into a website and there's, that's one less tabulation
Yeah.
to worry about, but that's one way to deal with that. If there's
Uh,
multiple people in a household who want to fill out a survey,
Is there a concern for ballot stuffing?
there is. And short of doing a random phone survey, it's probably
Yeah.
impossible to plug all the leaks, but
Yeah, with the online survey, the survey software allows only one survey to be completed from an IP address. So someone wouldn't be able to do it multiple times online. They actually said that's sometimes is a negative thing because there's more than one person in the household. What we could do is make a note at the bottom of the survey if you would like an additional copy to complete, to come to the township hall and pick one up. And that would be an option. Or have it mailed to you.
So we're starting with the basics of sending it to all property owners.
And renters. If there's an address separate from the tax, the property owner that pays the taxes, they have their address where the taxes go, and then we'll send one to the physical address in the township. So both the owner will get one and the resident, the person, the renter, resident, or the owner, whoever lives at the physical address will get one.
Randy, could we run that process through you to see what is the standard way that planners approach the community
No.
on a survey?
I've been involved in dozens of these over the years, and it's
Okay.
each place is a little bit different in how they handle it. So
Okay.
there's not really a standard way. And the easiest way is to contract the whole thing out and hire it
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
but
Could
that's
you
pricey.
recommend?
I'm sure Networks Northwest has done
Oh,
this many
okay.
times
All
for
right,
jurisdictions around here. We can work
Right.
with them.
so they could tell us
Yeah.
how they approach it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And using their software and then what our requirements are. We'll just have to have a deeper conversation with them.
Yeah.
About that. Just not done that
Yeah,
yet.
if you go back to question 2, describe your association with the township. You're a full-time resident. If we send it to that address, not a property owner, not a resident, that's where you send it to the tax address. And then the other discussion was about, do we want to give one to like the business owners on 72, like Renee's Quilting, the gas station, I mean, anything within our
Right.
our township.
So they
what
would
is-
get it anyway, though.
Yeah,
wouldn't
they-
they?
Yeah, property
Because
owner.
they're a property owner.
They might, I don't know where I don't know if the business owners actually live in Whitewater Township.
But then it would go to either the taxpayer or the owner, so why would we?
Which tax, I don't know how to reach, if I own a business in Whitewater Township, I just don't know the answer to the question. If I own a business, but I don't live here as a resident, or I don't rent here, how am I going to be identified as a business owner in Whitewater Township?
Paying taxes on your business, wouldn't you?
So you want the business tax records to be sent to the people with the business?
I don't know.
I think the problem would be if you worked for a large corporation and the corporate entity got the tax bill. It may not get locally, it may not get back here locally
Right.
to somebody,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's,
like the Shell station. Okay, so who knows, the tax bill
knows?
may go to someplace out of state.
yeah, that's true. I just don't know if, they mentioned it at one time. They wanted to, have someone identify as a business owner. That's why we put that question in there.
Right.
Self-employed. But, I mean, we don't have to,
Lois, when does the newsletter come out? Is it for the summer, July 1st? Okay, I was thinking that, and notice in the newsletter advertising the survey would be helpful too. But if it's June and comes back at the end of June, then that'd be too late for that.
advertise the survey or the workshops.
No, the survey, that if you didn't get a survey, contact the township.
Yeah,
But to Denise's point, if that's the newsletter, we have to have dates ready for the workshops then, if we want to
Yeah,
get the dates out in the newsletter.
that would probably be more important, I think,
Mhm.
to get those workshops. We could have those dates
Mhm.
already picked out.
yeah.
So that's something to consider too. So we'll miss the advertisement of the survey in the newsletter, but we'll get it for the workshops. Watch for it. Yeah, okay.
But if we had dates and locations by the time the early July newsletter went out,
Mhm.
that would be helpful.
So that July newsletter is very important then.
Yep.
Are you planning on, putting the newsletter in the tax bill?
That's what they generally do.
Yeah. Lois, do you know? They are, okay. Yeah, so our survey would have to be separate.
Earlier.
Yeah, better earlier.
It's a lot of steps. A lot of questions open. Denise, would you have some time if I called you and just go through our little checklist of all of the steps that we have to have in place? Are you around this week?
Yes,
Okay,
I
all
am.
right. I'd like to get that timeline at least identified so we can circulate it for people to comment on. Yeah, I'll send you a separate email and see what dates we can talk.
Okay.
All right, good discussion. Ready to move on?
Mhm.
Okay, we talked about the PC and joint PC township board meeting. If we can't have that joint meeting, that will really disrupt the schedules that we're talking about here.
Mhm.
So I think that would be one of our priorities, to have that discussed and approved coming out of that May 17th meeting. So I'll make sure that everybody knows that that's our priority of all the things we have going on. Okay, any other discussions about the PC? You're welcome to come to that meeting on the 3rd. And be part of the discussion. Bring the subcommittee in as we did in the last meeting. So I'll make sure that that invitation gets to all of you.
Related topics, because I'm not, this is a special meeting. I believe you can only, that's where Rachel wanted us to discuss the payments to the committee members.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's the only other thing I can think of.
okay. All right, so what we have to do is make a motion to apply for payments for our subcommittee meetings and all those who would wish to be paid to identify themselves. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay,
Can we discussion of, we would have to identify ourselves to the
Yes.
clerk, I believe.
I think what I will do is take the names of those who would like to get the pay and give that to Rachel and have Rachel work it out with the clerk.
Okay,
Hey, sorry to interrupt it, but I do think your motion has to include the names so that it's referenced in the minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, sorry, I just turned it back on too. I'm glad I caught you.
It's first time we brought your name up since you left,
My ears must have been ringing.
apparently. So do you have the motion, Lois? Okay. The motion is to create a pay, create a opportunity for those on the subcommittee who wish to be paid for their service under the ROS subcommittee. Too fast. I'm really slow. For the ROS subcommittee to be paid for each meeting they attend. Okay. Okay, so we've had the motion seconded. Maybe we need to do it again.
Second that motion.
Now we vote on it? Or is that not a
Yeah.
voting item?
I think Rachel said that
Just need to come up with a list.
Get the names on before we vote? Okay, all right. All those who wish to be paid, identify. None?
That was easy.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. Yeah.
That's okay.
what to do about nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call. Yes.
I don't think I should vote. Yeah.
So if we answer yes, it means that we do not want any pay. Yes.
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 Any other topics for the subcommittee? If not, next meeting date? We have an opportunity May 3rd to join the PC. I'm guessing that we would want to schedule after that meeting. Should there be any feedback that we need to go into correction mode or additional work?
Yes, because if the PC is going to add questions, we may have to reword them. And we want it done before the joint meeting.
Yeah,
And my preference is to not do it. We can participate at the PC meeting, but I don't necessarily want to review it there because we were at the end of the meeting, and if it goes long, it's late. I don't know how you feel about
we
that.
could move that up in the priority
Mhm.
closer to the 7 o'clock agenda.
But knowing how long we took for this, you might not want the PC commissioners may not want to be working late either. So I think it really needs to be a separate meeting.
Yeah, well, I would say you're on their fast track. They know this needs to be moving fast.
Yeah.
So, Rachel,
She might be working.
yeah.
Well, the idea is to get feedback on your other question. I think we all collectively agreed with everything we talked about today, so it is potentially one additional. I think that's something that we could handle that evening, with
Well,
the exception of anything the PC is adding.
yeah, if they don't add anything and we add and discuss one more question and they're good with it, then we're done, right?
Say that again.
We're done with the survey with, you have one more question. If we bring it to the PC meeting and they, and we all agree to that one additional question, then the survey essentially is done if the PC approves it that night.
The survey would be done, but I'm sure that the PC would like to know about the mechanics of all of the components
Yeah,
that we'll have to roll out.
I
In
see.
May, the contract with Networks North and,
Yeah.
staffing, all of that.
I understand that.
So we would have to be moving pretty quickly in May to capture that information for them
Mhm.
and possibly have that as part of the discussion on the 17th with the township board. So could we fit a meeting in between May 3rd? And
Probably right away after May 3rd, if you're gonna have printed material available for the approximately May 17th meeting.
And do you have a 10-day time
You need to
limit?
have- Yeah, you need to have 10 days before that
Yeah,
meeting, so
yeah.
Yeah, so it really is
it has to be accomplished on the 3rd.
4th or 5th.
3rd, 4th or 5th.
that week.
Yeah,
That week. So, the mechanisms, I guess I can get, we'll have to get the 2 quotes and get a timeline from, Network. Is it Networks Northwest? I should know that. I
Yeah,
tried to
it is.
interpost. And, for the PC meeting, and their packet is when? Not today, is it?
That's pretty soon.
Yeah, but try to get it in for the packet, otherwise just introduce it.
yeah, we can introduce it.
Okay. Yeah, once I get past, for my personal schedule, once I get past the 5th, there's so many things going on, you got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
a campsite cleanup weekend, and then I roll right into an event for the next week that I'm involved in.
Well, how about the 4th or the 5th? Does either of those dates work?
I'm open. Yeah.
You're open,
Yeah,
Vicky?
I could do 9 o'clock on the 4th.
Randy? 9 o'clock.
Thursday,
Denise?
yes.
May 4th.
May 4, yeah.
Which board? There's
There's May 3rd.
May 3rd. It's a Wednesday. So May 4th still works.
Mhm.
What time again?
9
Nine.
AM.
And Lois, you're available? Oh, good. Yeah,
Serendipity.
All right, well, let's plan May 4th, 9 AM.
May the 4th be with us.
And to you.
yeah. Never gets old, does it?
No, it doesn't. I wait once a year to say that.
Okay, I make a motion that the ROS subcommittee schedule a meeting May 4th, 9 AM until 11 AM. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Be that.
Yes.
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 Okay, we are at the point, public comment. Okay.
And I'm Lois McLean. On your question number 5. Just seems like if you're using the words increase, you're leading. Just opinion. Number 7. That was number 5.
Oh, okay, answers.
You bolded the word one. I would underline it and bold the word most and underline it.
Which question?
5.
Underlining bold.
Question
One.
5, what?
It says, please indicate one area that you feel,
Second
and that's
sentence.
bolded. I would underline it and then bold also most and underline, just because it's the only one I think in here that has like one option.
Really want them to zero in.
Number 8. Number 7. Yeah, no, not that. Number 8, if you add other choices, like your number of acres or possibilities of a number of acres, you're leading people. You are absolutely leading, where your question is, this is what it's zoned. Is that okay or not?
I don't believe we.
And
added
then you
anything there.
have the option to say what you're appropriate, what you think would be appropriate. If it's not, and you don't believe it, it's too large or too small, and they want to be specific. As an
Yeah.
example,
A box to check.
well, yeah, those were already boxes checked, and then they can put the dot, instead of having a. It just seems like, you know, I mean, you almost have to do 2 acres as a box, 3
3
acres as a box. Where I grew up, it's 40-acre minimums. The farmer across the road has a lot of acreage. But the farmer next door doesn't have quite as much acreage, and let's say they've got 78 acres. Oops, they can't they can't even split that property in 2 for 2 of their kids. But anyways, and number 9 really is the same thing. If you're thinking about adding specifics on that, I just think it's kind of rough. Number 11, attractive building designs. What's attractive? Personally, I do photography, and I love old abandoned decrepit buildings. You know, I don't find offense in it. No, I don't necessarily want that, but my idea there is your word attractive building designs would fit. The marijuana survey went out and color coded. Their marijuana survey went out, just an example, because I can't remember, let's say green was for property, from the property tax rolls. Gold was from the voting rolls. And those were combined so that you're not having a lot of extra. The nice thing about that is, for instance, there is one house that has 6 or 8 people. So in that one, you put 6 or 8 surveys of that color. They aren't property owners, they're taxers, people who vote. We had one from the tax rolls, one from the voter rolls, and then a different color for those who came in to pick it up. And we never even got any white ones from people trying to print them themselves, especially if you got the survey things there. And then on your possible mid-May joint meeting, just a technicality, and you may have said it, I was typing, that survey discussion would just need to be on the agenda. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody out in the internet world?
Any public comment, Rachel?
Okay. If no comments, we are done.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
Propose that we circle back and at this meeting, while we're all here, we address these issues that Lois just brought up.
Okay. So first comment was on 5.
Right.
And in that, the second line was to highlight in bold the letters. Most important.
Let me get back up here if I can.
Well, then underline.
I'm gonna have to run, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First was on question 5.
Question 5.
Mhm.
So the concern is that increase is a leading term.
Well, on the introductory sentence that's in yellow up there, she suggested underlining as well as bolding the word one and most, and I think that's. And then how do we address the increase of? Please indicate one area that you feel is most important for the township to address.
We could take increase out of that,
Yeah,
yeah.
If you take out increase, I mean, you can't decrease, right?
Right.
And so you're asking them to choose one. If they don't care about increasing affordable, I mean, you can't decrease affordable housing. It's either going to stay the same, like no change, or you're going to increase it. And if you can't decrease it and no change, the only option to me would be increase, if that's what I wanted. Otherwise, I think something else.
check something else.
Yeah, employment opportunities, you're same thing. Am I going to decrease employment opportunities? Most people would. They wouldn't think of that. But they would put none. I mean, they might, but
Well, it's just saying that the township needs to address it.
okay. If
Affordable
you're just
housing.
looking at as a topic for
Yeah, it's a
discussion,
So we could just remove the word increase.
yeah,
yes,
and that makes it,
in that. So.
I mean, we can talk about it all the time and not do anything.
Without, and then.
My brain says yes.
Well, we're saying address, we're not saying how. So, and on all of these, I mean, address property maintenance, address retail options.
Does
you
the word
know.
address in traffic congestion, dangerous intersection, is that
I guess address is
duplicate?
redundant,
Because it's,
There.
yeah,
right?
Good catch.
Okay. All right, and then go down to the next one.
8 and 9, I think the
Same question.
question was, do not put specific acreage options in
Eight.
boxes.
Do not. And we didn't.
Well,
Is
we
that
had
what-
talked about,
Yeah. Is that what you meant, Lois? But he might. We don't know yet.
we have a neutral question at the bottom there. If you have a thought, you tell us what it is rather than us
Yeah.
giving you an option of 1/2 or 5 or 10 acres or 40 acres or,
I think number 9 was the same.
right?
So.
We'll just leave that like it
saying
is.
it's okay as is.
Well, my strategy would be to go look at other rural townships
Mhm.
that either are going through this or have done it and see what kind of wording they do around rural.
Mhm,
And then number 11,
mhm.
Yeah, so maybe get rid of the word attractive and just,
consistent building design. Are they looking? Because themed means consistent. I don't know if we're even to the point of building designs in the township.
oh, I know, that's a long way down the road, if
Yeah.
ever, for the township, and I
Yeah.
guess.
But, and if somebody wanted to put up the 20-foot Jolene, which they did in Northport,
Yeah,
I guess the question is building design an important element in people's minds of a well-planned corridor? So, I mean, some places. Yes, I mean, some places, I mean, you go to Canton down in, well, Detroit area, that those walled things, they've done a lot of work on that.
do you have another word you could suggest? Randy.
besides attractive? Nice looking, beautiful, gorgeous, liking.
Subjective.
Good looking.
Looking for.
I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking. Um, Something that's related to fits in with the surroundings, compatible with surrounding topography.
That's more neutral
Yeah,
and saying attractive is
Building-
qualitative.
building designs compatible with the community standard.
There is none.
But there's no community standard. Therefore, we don't need any enforcement officer. I'm getting.
I'd be inclined to just say building design and
Yeah,
just leave it
yeah.
at that. And that
Leave
way
it
it's
building
not,
Design,
and just, that way it's just broad enough to,
Mhm.
yeah. And then.
should we pay attention to building design or not? If that falls down, nobody picks that, then it's probably not important.
Our building design zoning,
And what?
building zone, design zoning, put in zoning there,
No,
I
No.
think we could leave it.
just leave it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
is that it? Is there any other public comment?
I think that's it.
Good points.
It is. Okay,
Now are you ready?
yes,
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.